The glow of Hollywood's golden age was so blinding, it hid the shadows just off camera. In this telling, Robert Redford, an actor-director with 60 years of clout and a reputation for straight dealing, sits with the weight of stories he never put on the record. If a figure with his standing finally decided to describe what the machine looked like from the inside, you'd lean in, because what he supposedly shared about revered names Orson Welles, Charles Boyer, Raymond Burr, the men who managed Natalie Wood, and the power brokers who ran the lots doesn't just scuff the halo of the golden age. It cracks it. Hollywood's factory for dreams, the studio system of the 1,920 seconds through the 1,960 seconds, mass-produced ideals and hid the gears. Redford entered as the assembly line was stuttering. A 1,936 baby who came of age in the 1,960 seconds, respected by old guard craftsmen, but aligned with the insurgent generation. He built distance into his career, most famously by founding Sundance in 1981, and that distance made him an observer as much as a star. "I came in during a transition," he's imagined to reflect. The system made legends. It also made monsters, sometimes the same person. What follows are the 5 portraits he allegedly sketched, not to settle scores, but to insist on historical truth over myth. No one doubts the genius of Citizen Kane. In Redford's reported view, the cost of that genius was paid by the people within arm's reach. As a young actor training in New York in the late 1,950 seconds, he kept hearing the same pattern from veterans. Welles's talent filled the room, and so did his appetite for control. He could pit actors against one another by feeding each a different truth, then film the confusion. He'd spring the camera on unsuspecting extras to trap raw nerves. Most unsettling, Redford supposedly felt, was how easily cruelty was rationalized as process. His recurring question, "Does great art justify harm?" His answer? No. Redford's particular outrage, in this telling, centered on Welles's behavior toward women, rewriting moments to humiliate actresses who rebuffed him. That, Redford thought, was revenge masked as art. The tragedy wasn't only that the career faltered, it was that true brilliance became a shield against accountability. The screen sold Boyer's suave tenderness, Redford's direct contact working together on The Loves of Isadora in 1968 allegedly sold him something else. Boyer's charm, he observed, could flick on and off like a practical light. When it served him, the room basked in it. When it didn't, people became furniture. Crew felt the chill, the most polite to power, dismissive to those below the line. Redford's private metric was simple. How you treat people who can do nothing for you is who you really are. He also watched the competitive sabotage, the micro-pauses that steal focus, the subtle step to steal the key light, moves so deft a director might miss them. The public saw romance. Redford saw calculation. TV audiences trusted Perry Mason and Ironside integrity in a suit and a wheelchair. Redford, circulating the studio lots in the early 1,960 seconds, allegedly saw a different kind of script. Burr's fabricated personal backstory, an invented wartime marriage, a son lost to leukemia at 10 crafted in painstaking detail. For Redford, that wasn't ordinary image burnishing. It was a wholesale alternate life, borrowing the weight of real tragedies to license public sympathy. The part never ended, and that, he felt, crossed a moral line. Beyond the biographies, Burr tailored contradictory versions of himself for different rooms. If authenticity is the ground on which trust stands, Redford concluded, Burr had chosen to float. Redford worked with Wood on Inside Daisy Clover, 1965, and this property is condemned 1966. The headline villains of her story were never just tabloid rumors or a mysterious night at sea in 1981. In Redford's telling, the daily damage was inflicted by handlers, executives, agents, fixers, who treated her like a convertible asset. They praised to bind, belittled to control, managed pills and schedules instead of pain and safety. Child star grooming left Wood unable to sort care from control. Redford, heartbroken, watched the trap close. Dependence cultivated, then monetized. Not every villain signed autographs. The worst, Redford suggested, signed budgets. On certain lots, he gestured toward the biggest names. An ecosystem protected powerful men who cast roles and victims with the same pen. Intermediaries made the ask plausible deniability, did the rest. Careers hinged on compliance. Refusals met with rumor, blacklists, and vanished calls. What sickened him wasn't only the acts, it was the infrastructure. Assistants, casting offices, and some agents greasing a machine that measured people by market value, while the public facade preached family values and charity. Those experiences pushed him away from the system's center and toward independence. Sundance wasn't a posture, it was a conscience. Redford's parting perspective, as rendered here, isn't just about individuals, it's about structures that rewarded manipulation and punished empathy. In the 1,920 seconds, 1,960 seconds, studio order, secrecy and concentrated power normalized exploitation. Silence wasn't accidental. It was the currency of survival. Redford included himself in the reckoning. There were times he stayed quiet, and that admission fueled his drive to build alternatives where different values could prevail. The point, he argued, isn't to erase the art. Wells's innovations still matter. Wood's performances still dazzle. Honesty doesn't dim achievement. It contextualizes it and, paradoxically, makes what's truly great feel more human and therefore more miraculous. It was a call for clear eyes. Golden Age myths do damage. They set impossible standards. They hide ongoing harms. And they turn complex artists into cardboard saints. Integrity, never perfection, was the value he prized. Tell the whole story, including the parts that sting. Then, build systems that don't require silence to function. Because if the industry's most enduring illusion is that beauty demands blindness, the antidote is simple and hard.